Dividend discount models, DDMs, estimate the intrinsic value of a stock based on its future dividends. The principle behind DDMs is that the value of a stock is the present value of all expected future dividends. There are different types of DDMs, including the zero growth model, constant growth model, and multi-stage growth model. The zero growth model assumes that dividends remain constant over time. The formula for this model calculates the current stock price based on the annual dividend and the required rate of return. This model is suitable for companies with stable, predictable dividend payments. Let's evaluate a stock with an annual dividend of $5 and a required return of 8% using the zero growth model. By applying the formula, we calculate the stock price to be $62.50. The constant growth model, also known as the Gordon growth model, assumes that dividends grow at a constant rate indefinitely. The formula for this model calculates the current stock price based on the expected dividend next year, the required rate of return, and the dividend growth rate. This model is suitable for companies with consistent dividend growth. Let's evaluate a stock with an expected dividend of $3 next year, a required return of 10%, and a growth rate of 4% using the constant growth model. By applying the formula, we calculate the stock price to be $50. The multi-stage growth model assumes that dividends grow at different rates in different stages, typically starting with a high initial growth rate followed by a stable growth rate. The valuation involves calculating the present value of dividends during the high growth period and the stable growth period separately, then summing these values. Let's evaluate a stock with dividends growing at 10% for the first 5 years and 4% thereafter, an expected dividend of $2 next year, and a required return of 12% using the multi-stage growth model. We first calculate the present value of dividends during the high growth period, then the present value of the terminal value at the end of the high growth period using the constant growth model. Summing these values, we determine the stock price to be $29.55. Dividend discount models, DDMs, are used to estimate the intrinsic value of a stock based on its future dividends. The zero growth model assumes constant dividends, the constant growth model assumes constant dividend growth, and the multi-stage growth model assumes varying growth rates in different stages. Integrating Python into these valuation models enhances the accuracy and efficiency of the calculations, providing valuable insights for investment decisions.